So why is storytelling such a big deal and why do we need it so much? So today I'm going to talk about what's at the core of persuasion. Why is it so hard to persuade people today? Storytelling, why it matters, and what characteristics do we need to be good storytellers? So the foundation of influence and how we connect with others starts with homophily. And it's this idea that if we have something in common with someone, we can form a bond. It's the basis of how we communicate. Now, if we have a bond with someone, it means we can have some degree of influence over them. Sometimes a little, sometimes a lot. And if we connect these two, we have homophily and influence. That means we have persuasion. Today, it's hard to get information across to people because there's so much of it out there. 300 billion email messages per day. Communication just gets lost in all this noise. We just get overwhelmed. Plus, this is an age of where we don't trust others. And when you look at the percentages of what people believe, it's pretty it's not very good. What happens is when we get inundated with something, what do people typically do? They typically shut down. And this is a problem with communication today. Not only that, in order to believe someone, we want someone to be authentic. We want to see who they are, not somebody giving a canned message or something like that. You want to know that people are being real with you and sincere with you. That's when you listen. You want people to be personable, and that means they have a pleasing and attractive manner. And that doesn't mean just looks. It's the way we talk, the way we look you in the eye, the gestures that we use. What's pleasing to people? How do you become personable? Also, are you original? I mean, when everybody is saying the same things, it just has no effect on you. And people who do that the most are politicians. That's why we want our communication to be distinct, because then it becomes memorable. And this is what storytelling gives us. Now, I was born in a land of storytelling. It's natural to me because that's all we did. And the place is called New Jersey, a land of myth and legend. But you have your own stories to tell, and you have your own unique look at the world. You have your own voice. You have your own stories to tell. And I hope to learn about them as this class goes on. Linda Gates talked about the power of storytelling. And stories can open our minds to things. It's a powerful communication tool because stories are easy to understand. They get our attention. We can connect with them if they connect with us. Storytelling can be a fast way of taking something very large and very complicated and doing it quickly. Most of all, stories are memorable. Goldilocks and the Three Bears. I mean, when was the last time you heard that story? And yet it's a story we never forget. Those kind of things are memorable. When we talk about entrepreneurial mindset, see how does this fit into the TEM universe? We talk about curiosity, creativity, self-efficacy, and your entrepreneurial coursework. That's what helps you become an entrepreneur. And self-efficacy means that you see a path forward to success, and you see your role in that success. And they don't talk about that enough, in my opinion. But every time any of these topics come off and people talk about it, the word storytelling comes out in it. Now, there's the English definition of storytelling, with word and actions and all this other kind of stuff. This is Dr. Cho's definition of what a story is. Storytelling is about moving an audience from one place to another, and you do it in a memorable manner where you're feeding off the audience's interest and energy to give you that energy to move them from one place to another. And that's what storytelling is primarily about. The big payoffs are, now there's the basic things that storytelling gives you, like communication and persuasion. Storytelling also gives you insights. It helps you to see things conceptually because stories tell you what the most important details are. Subsequently, that helps you with design thinking, that you see the order of how everything goes. And finally, if you have all of this, then you have enlightenment, that essentially you can see things in a brighter and better way. Richard Feynman agreed with me, arguably America's greatest physicist. And someone asked him, how do you explain something as complex as Laplace transforms to a 5-year-old? And Feynman said, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. So even Feynman understood that the key to telling good stories is that you have a very deep understanding of it, and that's why you can relay it in a simple way. There's something called the writer's focus. When I was a minor and taking literature class, I got a paper back, and my writing teacher wrote on it, "You write like a professional writer. Every word has meaning." And this is the mentality you need if you want to be a good entrepreneur or innovator. You have to be able to look at things and understand why everything is there. What is its purpose? And if it doesn't have a purpose, it shouldn't be there. James Joyce wrote 200,000 words on Ulysses, and he edited every one. In fact, he edited every one multiple times. Why did you use the instead of a? Why did you say them instead of writing out what the name of the people are? There has to be a reason for everything. And so that's what you also need in your stories. That's how you get efficiency, and that's how you create something with depth to it. Fundamentally, persuasion is about distance. And this is what I learned in communications class. How far away are you apart? Because that tells you how much you have to do to get them closer. The further away they are, the harder it's going to be. For example, people who believe that guns should be outlawed versus people who believe in gun owner rights. You're never going to get those two sides to agree on anything. But what you want to do is try to move people over to your side a little bit further and then continue to decrease the distances. Pixar had its own rules for stories. It is about conflict, consequence, and so they had these 22 rules that every Pixar story has got to follow. Stories are generic to every field, whether it's the humanities, engineering, business. Storytelling applies to everything. And it's because storytelling is a natural way of communicating, and every field needs communication. The problem is that stories can be repetitive, and this is something that happens in entrepreneurship. Everybody says, tell the hero's tale. Well, the hero's tale is you got a hero, he faces a challenge, he gets defeated, then he perseveres, he finds a solution, and through this understanding and wisdom, he finds victory. And the problem is that everybody follows the same story. Again, you want to try for uniqueness. And this is a problem in entrepreneurial pitches. They all follow the same recipe. And after a while, like for those of you who ever attended Venture Devils, oh my God, somebody told them, you have to connect with them some way. Tell them your grand purpose. And the students interpreted that as they had to talk about tragedy. It's like, well, I wanted to work on these sensors because my sister got her hand chopped off in a wood chipping incident or something like that. And it's like, oh my God, I don't know if I'm watching a horror show or I'm watching a bunch of pitches. And so the thing is, something that should have power loses power if all you're doing is telling the same stories. That's where authenticity comes in. Tell your story. Stories follow a very simple journey. First, before you start a story, think about the audience. Who are you telling this story to? What is your objective? What are you trying to get out of this? What is the premise? How are you going to connect with people? Typically, I always use humor. That's going to be one of the elements and one of the tools I'm going to use. How much time do you have? That has a huge impact on how much time you have to tell a story. What is it that you want to emphasize? Somewhere in there has to be a payoff. I found out from a student in one of my other classes where I was teaching storytelling. I kind of got into a big trouble, meaning they told this really emotional and heartfelt tale. The problem is that there was no payoff to it. And I just said in class, I thank you for sharing that, but what's the story? And oh my God, that student talked to another student who told me what was going on. And yeah, they'll never take a class with me again. Somewhere between destroying the universe and, Satan. I'm somewhere down in there. Anyway, in your closing, how do you want to leave the story? Do you want to leave them emotional? Do you want to leave them pensive? Do you want to leave them feeling good? I mean, that's why you tell jokes and things like that. If your story doesn't make sense, your idea probably doesn't work. And that's where stories are great analytical tools, because if you can't condense something into a simple story, then you don't really understand it at all, or it doesn't work. And that's what Feynman was saying. So in this class, you're going to have to pass 3 kinds of storytelling: oral storytelling, presentation, and written storytelling. Essentially, this is what you're going to be doing through your entire TEM career and classes. And that's why I wanted this to be a 100 level class, because I want to give you the foundation of being great communicators and storytellers.